make up a couple, you guys working? That'd be useful. Or do you want to work some other things from the chapter? The rest of it's pretty easy now.
Yeah, that's what. Sorry. When you do the annuity payment, how do you figure out, like, without looking in the book? Because are we going to be able to use them?
You're going to use your book.
Oh, okay.
Feel free.
Okay.
Or if you have a fancy calculator that does annuities, you just plug it into the calculator and ask it for the payment. Yeah. Yeah. See that calculator you have sitting there in front of you? Does it have a present value? It probably will do it. What you can do is you can go online, look at the instructions, look at the present value, provided that you're doing an ordinary annuity. That means payments are fixed for the periods. You have to tell the calculator that.
Okay.
Just to tell it at the beginning, at the end. Obviously.
Because I know how to do it, like with the table.
Use the tables.
Okay, so we can
use
use
the
the table for our
all of
quiz.
it. You don't have to use your calculator at all. You use the tables for all of it.
Okay, awesome.
You'll still use the calculator to multiply the answer, but yeah, either way. Or if you're really comfortable with your calculator and you're fast with it and you know exactly what the answer should look like, you know, so when you get a ridiculous answer, you know it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Here's something to tell you guys, you love this. The present value of future cash flows is less than the future value. Because you're taking interest out. The future value is more than the present value, right? Because you're adding. Make sure your answer works that way, okay? Right? On an annuity, the total of the payments is less than the future value if you're going to earn interest, right? You know, I mean, this is just common sense, so let it be, right? And the total of the payments is more, right, if you're getting a present value, right? Because you have to earn it. That's it, okay? So you'll know if your answer makes sense or not when you calculate it. If you do that. Don't just calculate a block. And I think most students do that. I did when I was grade, right? You know, you calculate and you get these ridiculous answers. It's like, well, geez, how do you get a present value that's more than the future value? I want to do business with you, right? You give me $110,000 now, and I'll give you back $100,000 10 years from now. Okay, I'm happy. Yes. Okay, cool. How about if I make up a few? Another question? That was a good question. I like that. Yes, you can use your data. Oh, yeah, calculating the formula is really noisy. Yeah. It's, you know, it's doable, but it's, yeah. All the formula is summing the years. That's all it's doing. But it's nice to have formulas. Before we had computers, boy, were the formulas nice. Yeah. So, and the computer's using the formula, of course. Okay. So, what do you think? Any other questions? Do a few problems? No, there were a couple more there, I think. Weren't there? Can you do that first? Okay. Well, I can make them up really fast. Like, do you work these two? Okay. Let's say I'm going to receive $150,000 5 years from now. Okay. And my interest rate that I'm going to earn on this is 10%. Okay. And I'd like to know how much am I willing to invest? I gave you something like this. So let me say it again. That's what I'm going to calculate. Okay? So I say, you're going to get $150,000 5 years from now. You want to earn 10% interest. How much am I willing to invest? Now. Do it. Should be real quick. we're doing a problem. So first, horrible student. She didn't study for
That's one of those where, like, we actually had a
it's a horrible influence. We still laugh about that.
conversation together about, like, okay, yeah, school is important, but so are life experience. So,
Yeah.
when is it?
Balance.
Yeah, it's very good.
You don't have to have the whole skill, but you have to go really very good.
Right, and that's what
Well, no. You gotta look at it. Nowadays, the 3.0 is probably passing.
well, for us,
Yeah.
we have scholarships that are at 3.0.
Yeah.
So,
3, 4, 3, 5. And you can do that. The 4.0. I put that on tape too, Jeff. I have an attitude set. But you don't have to have a 4.0. But if you're real motivated, it's fine. What are you going to do? I did a 3.0 for the first 2 years and a 3.8 for the second 2 years. With that. 3.8 not a good job. It also got to the secret exam. That's another factor. And it wasn't easy to switch gears. I realized it right. It really didn't want to. That wasn't good enough. Everybody got an answer? But what do? We identify these as what? This is a what? Future value. Some number of periods from now. How many? 5 years. That's n, isn't it? And this is n. So what are we going to do? I'm going to take my future value, 5 periods from now, 150,000, and take it times what? 1 over 1 plus the interest rate raised to the number of periods. So that's 1 over 1.10, is that right? Raised to the fifth. And you can go look it up on the table if you want, okay? You can use these tables, like we said. So what is that factor anyway? 1 over 1.10 raised to the fifth. Either from the table or from your calculator. 0.62. $1 received 5 periods from now, discounted 10% is worth 62 cents right now. Because if you invest 62 cents at compound interest 10%, it will grow to $1 over 5 years. If you need to, put in your calculator 0.6209 and take that times 1.1, and then take that times 1.1, and then take that times 1.1. You got the idea? Do it 5 times and prove to yourself that that indeed is $1. You see why that's what it's worth? You just suck the interest out of there, right? Well, you can think about it, okay? Just took the interest out. So how much interest will you earn on the 62 cents? 38 cents. 10% is a fairly high interest rate, right? That's quite a bit. Okay, so each one of those $150,000 is worth that much. So 150 times 0.6209 is how much?
93,135.
How much interest would you earn? How about 150 less 93,135, right? It is, isn't it, guys? Which is exactly 10% over the 5 periods. Huh? How much is that?
56865.
865. Yeah, kind of nice, huh? Get your money invested. Okay. Let's do another one. Everybody happy with that? How many of you had that number, by the way? 93,165. No? No. Yeah. You do. Yes. You close. You got it. Everybody got it? Yes, sir.
I did 150,000 over 1 plus 0.1 raised to the fifth.
That's your part.
Okay.
Well, it's not over 1 plus.
It's 150 over 1.10 raised to the fifth. Because taking 150 times 1 over 1.10 to the fifth is the same thing as 150 divided by 1.10 raised to the fifth.
Yes.
That's what you did. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. I think you put the 1 in there twice and you get the reciprocal. Yeah, that's just fine. Absolutely. Okay, good deal, huh? It's easy, isn't it, guys? Okay, let's do this. Let's say we've got, I have $20,000 now, and I'm going to, I have that now, going to invest it for 10 years at 12% interest, but I'm going to compound it semi-annually. Let's add a ring. Which means I get the interest added every 6 months instead of once a year, but we always state interest rates on a what basis? We knew this from when we calculated interest, didn't we? It's always on an annual basis unless they say otherwise. And the otherwise would always be per month, right? Nobody ever says per 6 months or something. Okay, so that 12% means per year, right? And it's going to be semi-annual. And it says 10 years. And what I'd like to know is, what will I have 10 years from now? How much will I have? Calculate that. Think about what you need to do. And what I'm saying is, how many periods are there? It's not years anymore. It's, well, not monthly, but semi-annual means twice a year, right? So it's, how many periods is that? Yeah, 20. Okay, good. But the interest rate's not 12% anymore because that's per year. It's 6. Good, you got it. That's all there is to it, you guys. What if it was monthly? What would you do? How many periods would monthly be? 120, 12 times 10, right? And what would the interest rate be if it's 12% a year and you're doing monthly? 1%. What if it was quarterly? How many periods would it be if it was 4 times a year, quarterly, every 3 months? It'd be 40. And what would the interest rate be? 3%. You guys are there. You got it. It's going to really be handy when we do the next chapter. Okay? I might have them on this chapter quiz. Who knows? Okay? People are supposed to watch these reviews, aren't they? Yeah. That's fair, isn't it? Yeah, everything's fair. How much will I have at the end of the 10 years? Calculate. That one's easy too now that you know interest rate are the number of periods. Interest rate is the number of periods. You have as much trouble getting your musicians to practice. I have getting people to number you. Yeah. Especially my son was going to be a music teacher.
What?
My son was going to be a music teacher.
Yeah. That sounds like that.
Yeah, he decided, no way. He only wanted to teach really motivated people, which would have been in high school he had no musicians.
Right.
My high school was so practice.
Were they good?
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie? We watched it the other day that the guy got best supporting actor.
Oh, Whiplash?
Whiplash.
Yeah. A little bit top.
It's a little over the top. I mean, yeah, I get it. I'm glad the kid punched him.
Yeah.
That had come. I think some students have come close with me. They wanted to. They wanted to. He's trained. You're not funny. Okay, so anyway, what do you do, guys? Everybody got an answer? What do we know? What's the 20,000? It's a present value, of course. What's the 10 years? It's a number of periods, but it's really because it's semi-annual what? 20 equals in. Fantastic. 12%, but it's semi-annual. That's an annual rate. 6% equals interest rate. You guys got it made, don't you? And what are we calculating, of course? Future value. So what we do is we take our present value at time 0 of 20,000, and you can set this up any way you want. You don't have to write down the formula if you don't want to, but it might keep you straight if you do. Okay? So until it always comes out right, I'd write down the formula. Present value times what? 1 plus the interest rate, raised to the number of periods, right? Okay, that's 1.06 raised to the 20th. You go look up a factor, or you can use your calculator either way. That'll give me a future value of that number of periods from now, right, guys? Okay, that's a 10 or not, believe it or not. Okay, so what's 1.06 raised to the 20th? 20 periods, 6% on the table, either way.
3.20.
You mean I'll have 3.2 times as much money if I leave it for 10 years semi-annual, so 20 periods, 12% interest is a high rate, right? And by the way, semi-annual, is that going to be more interest or less interest if you compound twice a year instead of once a year? More, because there's more interest on the interest, right? The more compounding there is, the more interest there is. Okay, so 20,000 times 3.207, what'd you get?
4,142.
Everybody get it? That's a unanimous yes? These are easy, aren't they?
When we do, okay, so like, for instance, the 1.06 for the 20th has like 7 or 8 decimal places.
Leave it in your calculator and take it times 20.
Okay.
And then round it to the nearest penny at least, you know, a couple dollars.
So would you suggest just like not rounding until the end?
I wouldn't round to the end. I'm using a calculator. If I'm writing them down on a piece of paper, I'd probably just round a couple decimal places,
Because I don't
maybe
think the
3.
book goes out like that.
No,
Yeah, I don't like
yeah.
that.
And so you're getting a more accurate number with your calculator or computer than you do with the tables, right? Because you're going to infinity with the numbers. If it's real dollars that we're working with, millions of dollars, we would never use a table.
Right.
But if you're just estimating something, you know, in the future, a table's fine. That makes sense? Okay. I'll give you another one, I guess. Let's see. What would be good? Let's say that I am going to make a payment, and they're at the end of the month. And how many periods do you have in your tables? What's the maximum?
20.
Only 20? Okay, so it's for 20 months. And I'm buying a car. And I'm going to pay $500 per month. My car payment. It's only 20 months. Get it? It's a used car. Okay? And I can afford to make a $500 payment. So I do. Okay? Pay less interest. And let's say my interest is 5%, because that's a pretty good interest rate even now, 4.9, and the reason is because I can pay it in 20 months and $500 a month, and I have very good credit, obviously. Okay, so what would we do here then? What do you want to know, probably? What did I leave out? Well, tell me what I did give you. What's the 20 months? Oh, I shouldn't have used 5%. That doesn't work. Monthly. I better use 12% interest. I don't have good credit after affordable credit. I want to get it on the table. So I'll use 12%. That's 12% a year. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is N, right, everybody? I heard that. Okay, what's the 500 per month? That's my annuity payment. And when do you make your car payments? The beginning of the month or the end of the month? End of the month. It's an ordinary annuity payment. Down payment up front, right? Well, we did no down payment, or maybe we did, but whatever we did, that reduced the amount we owed. Okay, and then let's say we made no down payment, and the interest is 12%. So what do I want to calculate? Probably that's the interest rate, of course. What are you missing? There's no future value and there's no present value. What do I really want to know? I get the car now, and I'm paying them. I want to know its present value. What's the present value? How much should I pay for the car? Right? If I gave you that, let me say it again for you. Here's what I'm doing. That's his car. Okay, how much should I pay for the car? All right. Payments at the end of the month. 20 months. I'm buying a car. I'm paying $500 per month, no down payment. It's an ordinary annuity payment. The payments are at the end. The interest rate's 12% per year. How much did I pay for this car? I gave you 20 months, which is 1 point something years, right? But I gave you the interest rate annual, so what's the monthly interest rate? This is in months, I better make this in months too. What is it? 12% a year is what per month? 1%, good, all right. So I is 1%. Now you can calculate it. What's my annuity payment? 500. What do I want to know? What did I pay for the car? Is it before interest? What is it? Present value. Yeah. I want the present value.
So why interest one again? Sorry.
The interest is going to be 1%. It's 12% a year. That's monthly payment.
Okay.
So 12 divided in is all I do. Okay. So now it's a simple calculation. This time we got an annuity. How would you set it up there? Annuity payment times the factor equals the present value, right? Just like that to start with.
Can you say that again?
My ordinary annuity payment times the factor is going to give me my present value. And this factor is what kind of a factor, everybody? What do you think? Ordinary annuity going to present value is the present value of an ordinary annuity. You like it? So present value of an ordinary annuity factor. Interest rates what? You do have that table, don't you? I think you do. 1%? We do have one, don't we?
No.
Ah! Do we not really?
Right.
It says 2, 3,
Just,
That's
yeah,
what I
so
was
just
thinking.
there.
That's all.
That's right.
That's why you're all.
Just said, Keith, it's not there.
Okay.
But the factor is, like, normally when you can look at the table, it's like the sum of the...
It's the sum of all the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah, but you need 1%.
Do you have to look at the table for that, or is there, like...
Oh, no, you can use your calculator, but you need a nice calculator for a computer. Doing it by hand is, yeah. Go out online, find the instructions for your calculator, and find out how to do the present value, right? And it'll show you. I'll try not to give you an interest rate you don't have. How come you guys can say, geez, I don't have that one?
I just thought you were
He
challenging us.
Yeah. It's got to be something, right? Or like all your students do with you too. He must know what he's doing.
Exactly.
They wouldn't have let him teach the class with that loss, would they? But I'm afraid they would. That's this guy. Okay, and here's finding the tables is just a moment. Here after the chapter, so there. Okay, this 1%'s not in here either. Okay, this person has absolutely horrible credit. They have to pay 24%. Okay. Never let this happen to you. Yeah. Loan sharks are after them. Yeah. Okay. Let's use 24% so we can calculate it, which would make it 2. You do have 2%, right? Yeah. Okay, go for it. You're not paying very much for this car. Most of it's interest, isn't it? I don't know. Some of those car dealers might be this bad, where they finance it themselves. Okay, so now it's 2% interest. How many periods? 20. There we go. All right. So 20 months at $500 a month. How much are we giving them, by the way? 20 times 500 is how much? We're giving them $10,000, aren't we? Let's see how much of this is going to be interest. It's ugly. There are car loans that are like this. Hope it never happens to you. Always pay your bills on time. At least make the minimum payment, right? On time. Get a good credit rating. What'd you get for the annuity payment, everybody? 500, of course. Get a factor for 2% 20 periods. 16. That's what's worth. $20, huh? And it should be less, right? Okay, that makes sense. Okay, it should be less than 20 because there's interest, right? Is it? Did everybody get 16.3514?
Oh, I thought it was like add.
Yeah,
They
but
just added everything. It's 67.2217.
Don't add the annuity table up. If you add the present value of the sum table, 20 factors, you would get that factor.
Okay.
They already added it up for you. They already added it for you. You don't have to do it.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. So 16 sound right? How much interest is there in there? About $4, right? Out of the 20 is interest, right? So how much did you pay for this car? What's 500 times 16.3514? Okay, something like that. So how much interest are you giving them? If you give them $10,000 and the car is only $8,175, it's almost $2,000. Everybody see it? Yeah, in 20 months. Okay, so out of your payment, $100 of your payment is interest about.
So the interest would be the
Total of the payments, 10,000, right? Less the present value. Excellent.
because
1,120 or 823 or 24 or something, yeah. And that's 6. Okay. Yeah. Got it? Everybody good with this stuff? Starting to just make sense. Let's do one where you have to calculate the interest rate. Let's try that. Let's say I give you this. Future value, let's not use 20 periods. Let's use a future value. Future value, do you have 14 periods on your table? 12? 10?
Goes from 10 then to 20.
Ah, jeez. Okay, these tables are horrible. Okay, so 10, I can't remember it. The intermediate ones have more. Future value at the end of 10 periods, 10 years, we'll make them years. I'm going to have $100,000. Okay? Guess what the number of periods is? 10. Gave it to you. Okay, so either way. Interest rate is what I'd like to know. You're going to calculate that for me. Okay? And let's say it has a present value, which is now, of course. The present value is $75,000. I think our table will give to this. How would you calculate that? You can use tables, or if you have a nice calculator, you could just solve for the interest rate in the calculator. How would you do that? Set it up exactly the same way. Either put the future value first or the present value first, I don't care. So what we could do is we could put the future value 10 periods for 100,000, okay? Then we could say the present value now is 75,000. What does that allow me to calculate in here? What's that going to be? What is that? Yeah, the future value to calculate the present. It's a present value of this is a sum in both places, Present value of a sum, right? Factor. That's what that is. Okay, number of periods equals 10, and what we don't know is the interest rate, but we can get the factor, can't we? What's the factor, you guys? The factor?
Or no?
This. It's what? Yeah. Divide 100 into 75, what do you get?
1.3.
Whoa, the other way. It's not 1.3 times 100 to 75.
0.75.
It's 0.75, right? Don't take 75 and divide it by 100, or 100 and divide it by 75, right? Go the other way, right? If you want to flip them around, you can. And I'll show you that in a second, okay? So if I put the future value on this side and the present value on this side, I get a present value factor. Everybody agree with that? It's 0.75 and it's 10 periods. What could you do on the table? Go down to 10 periods, go across until you find 0.75. Is it there?
Between 5 and 6%.
Okay, it's 5 to 6%, and I'd take that answer. Okay? Anybody have a calculator that does present values? You do? Input to your calculator, the future value is 100,000. The present value is 75,000. The number of periods is 10. Ask it to solve for the interest rate, and you'll get the value. Ah. So now you're solving for I. What did you get, 5.6? Is it about halfway in between 5 and 6? If you look at the table, is it about halfway between those two numbers, those two factors? Did you say 5.6 over there? Non-committal? No? Somebody calculate it?
So you want to go at 5 to 6%? Or what?
It's somewhere between 5 and 6, is it? What'd you get?
That's very stuff.
You got 3%?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
We should
We read the table wrong?
And I did it the other way.
0.75, present value of a sum table. Go to 10 periods and go across until you find 0.75. What rate did you get?
Yeah. And I did it.
Oh, 3%.
I don't know, I'm wrong thing.
I trusted the professor.
No,
That
don't
was
do
the
that.
problem. Okay, every time we do that, it's around 3%?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Do we have 3% on our table? Yeah, good. All right. Right around 3? And if you do it with your calculator, do you get around 3? Anybody do it that way? You haven't learned to use a calculator yet? No wonder it's scary when people use their calculator. Yeah, that's all right. You know, so it'd be a good thing to learn, though. In the future, you're going to want to use it, of course, right? But for this class, fine. You can use the tables. Okay, so 3%. Everybody got the idea? What if you didn't know the number of periods? What would you do? What would you do if you didn't know the number of periods? Exactly the same thing. So if I didn't know the 10 periods, what would I do? But I did know the 3%. Now what would I do? Calculate the 0.75, go to the table, right? Go to the 3% column and go down until you find 0.75. And what is it? 10 periods. Works fine, doesn't it? Same with your calculator. You put all the data in except for the one piece you use. Okay?
So why should we be looking at the present value table and not the sum table and not the annuity table?
Because it's one payment. One payment. I only have 100,000 in the future. Once. I only have 75,000 now once. I don't have payments. There's no payments. The annuity is payment after payment after payment, the same amount. Right? All the annuity tables did was it added together the sums for it. Because an annuity is a sum. 1 period from now is sum. 2 periods, 3 periods, 4 periods. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you see why it's not an annuity? It's just one. They're just one, right? One future value, one present value. Okay? One time. Everybody got it? This isn't bad, is it? Okay, let's calculate an annuity payment. I don't think we've done that yet. Let's say you're a crazy person, and you wait until you are 45 years old to start saving for retirement. That's nuts, because you don't have enough years. But you're going to wait till you're 45, and you're going to retire when you're 65. We only got 20 years. So I hereby decree N is 20, right? 20 years till retirement. Everybody good? And let's say I'm going to invest. What kind of interest rates do you have there? 12%? 13? Do you have 13 or 12?
We have both.
Okay, let's do 13%. We think the stock market's going to earn 13%. 20 years. And you're crazy. You're spending all your money on young men. Right? Taking out, hunks. Spending all your money on them. That's what I did with all my money when I was young, except it was young money. Yeah, okay. So anyway, so that's what you do. That's what his plan is. Yeah, okay. Anyway. All right, so it's a real good strategy. Makes you poor, and you have to work till you're 70. Okay, anyway, so, like me. That and marrying a young woman did. Okay, but anyway, who likes holes. So here we go. We got 20 periods, 13% that we're going to invest, okay? And let's say we would like to have a future value at the end of those 20 periods of $1 million, which isn't nearly enough to retire on, but you'd like to have that. Because, you could retire decent with that, maybe. Not great, but decent, okay? You want to have $1 million plus your Social Security, I guess, when you're 65. Okay? You're starting when you're 45. Tell me how much you have to invest. How much do I need to invest? And we're going to do it at the end of each year, because that's the only table we have. Probably we got to do it at the beginning of the year so we get more interest on it. Per year. They're always, and it'll be at the end of the year, okay? How much do you need to invest per year? What is that? Exactly the same amount every time. I'm going to make it the same amount. What's that? Annuity payment. It's at the end of the year. It's what kind of an annuity payment? Ordinary. Right? Ordinarily payments in the year. Ordinary annuity payment. Calculate my ordinary annuity payment, right? That's it. Go for it.
So anytime there's a payment over a period of time, it's going to be annuity?
Yeah, it's exactly the same payment every time. If they're different payments, it's just a lump sum. Could I have 5 different lump sums? One year I get 100,000, the next year I get 200, the next year 150. Sure. You have to calculate each one of them independently back to now and add it together.
Okay.
The annuity makes it easier because you can add the factors together and multiply once. That's all it is. You could do 20 calculations here. 20 calculations on, but that'd be ridiculous. Okay. Actually, you couldn't because we don't have the paper yet. Already got it? How would you set it up? Always set them up the same way. However you want to do it. I want to know an annuity payment. I do know a future value. I know how much I want to have in the future. How would you calculate that? Thought it was warm in here. 77. 775. Everybody got a payment? Calculation's really simple. Big, isn't it? Scary. You're going to earn interest on it, but what's 20 into a million? Is that 50,000? It is, isn't it? Yeah, so if you earn no interest, you'd have to put in 50,000 a year. So it's going to be a big payment. It's not going to be 50, because 50% is a lot of interest, and 20 years is a long time. Although on the last deposit, you make nothing, right? So you're going to retire right after you make it. Got it? The first deposit, you're going to earn 19 years interest on it at 13%. Going to make that one big. Okay? So let's give it a shot. What do we got? I'm going to have some annuity payment. That's what I'm looking for. Some ordinary annuity payment. That when I take it times the factor for an ordinary annuity, I will have a future value. How many periods? 20 from now? Of $1 million. I want to be a millionaire barely, I guess. Okay? All right? So what I've got is the number of periods is 20. The interest rate is 13% because that's what the market has earned over the last 30 or 40 years, right? I invest in the stock market and I get lucky, right? I get that for that 20 period span. Okay, this is a future value of an ordinary annuity factor, right? What it is 20 factors added together at 13%, isn't it? Okay? One for one period, 2 periods, so on. Okay? What's that factor for 20 periods at 13%? 80.9468. Okay? What's worth $80? Is it 80? Everybody agree with that number? Okay. What's worth $80? $20. The first dollar invested at the end of 1 year and left at 13%, right? For how many years? 19. The second one's going to be there for 18 years. Third one's 17, right? Everybody agree? Okay. So take a look at your future value of the sum table so you can sort of get your head around this. Look at the future value of the sum. At 13% for 20 years, what does a dollar grow to? What's that number?
11.5231.
Yeah, the first one's giving you $11. $1 turns into $11.50. Got the idea? Go back to 10 years, which is the only one we got there. What do you have? It only grows to what? 8? Is that what it is? It's getting the idea? Go to 5 years. What's that one? You got 5 on the table. Present future value of the sum, 5 years. What does it grow to? At 13%. You double your money, don't you? About 2? 1.8, yeah. Got the idea? 1 year would be $1.13, right? And it just keeps compounding. Everybody getting the idea on this thing? At 13% in 20 periods, it gets big. Imagine if you put it there for 40 years. Oh my, that's how you make money, you guys. Start when you're 22 years old, putting money in, right? And then you leave it there for 40 years. Now you can retire, okay, early, right? Okay, anyway, and it doesn't have to be big bucks. Put 1,000 in. I put 1,000 in the first year that I invested. It's been sitting there. When I retire, it will have been there for 43, 44 years. Yeah, first time. Should have been for 50 years, right? So blew it. Would have doubled again. And everybody? Okay, anyway, it's a lot of, that 1,000 turned into a lot of money. Okay, anyway, so how much is your payment going to be every year? Divide 80 into a million. 12,000. Okay, that's it. If you're in a pretty high income bracket, you might be able to pull that off, right? But if you're in a pretty high income bracket, $1 million is not going to be enough to live. You know, what you earn off of it's not going to be enough to live on because people get used to what they make. Okay? Right. My wife and I want to have as much as I make now be the earnings every year off of our investment portfolio when I retire. She and I retire. So every year we make as much as we make when we worked, when we retire. Plus we'll have Social Security in addition to that. So we'll live a little better. Of course, there's still going to be inflation, right? So we'll make less every year for the rest of our lives to build the homes and stuff. Okay? So plan ahead, you guys. I know you think you're really young, and you are. I'm going to start. Okay? And he's sitting there thinking, oh my God, I'm just in trouble, right? No, you're still young. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Get going. Get going. Actually, working at Bellarmine, they do it with you're putting your money in the retirement here at Bellarmine?
No, I'm adjunct.
Oh, you're an adjunct. Oh, we'll get full time. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, the adjuncts get screwed all the way around. I said that on tape too. That's true.
Can you go back to that real quick?
No. Yeah, so what do you think? Oh, we could talk about how much you earn, interest you earn too. Yeah, you don't like that number? Yours a different one?
No, it's not.
Did we screw something up?
No.
Everybody likes this number? Yeah. How much interest did you earn? How much did you deposit, everybody? 12,353 times 20 payments, right? How much is that?
26,000, or
240?
247,075.
Yeah. So you're putting in $250,000 and it is turning into what? $1 million. Investing is a wonderful thing. Now this is 13%. It's a good return, isn't it? But the stock market's earned that over the last 30 or 40 years. It's pretty good. Okay? Don't put your money in a savings account. Don't put all your money in the house. Don't put your money in cars. They go away. You throw them away. It's a waste of money. Yeah, well,
But this number right here is my interest, right? Even if-
oh no, I
Right.
invested 247
Okay.
and I got $1 million. What's my interest? Excellent. How much interest did I earn over those years?
75,290.
Oh, let's get the right decimal. 7.5 and 1 million less 247. 750.
What? Yeah.
2,925. You like it? You know, you got 4 times your money. Yeah, you're in 750,000 of interest over all that time. Oh, you get to pay tax on it too, by the way, when you take money out. But anyway, the government's going to take 40% of it. Okay, yeah. What's your question?
So say you gave us, and being the problem, say you gave us the annuity payment, and
Yeah.
you wanted us to find the future value.
Mm-hmm.
For the chart, would you use the present value chart instead of future?
Well, if I want to know the present value, I would. If I want to know the future value, I'd use a future value table. If you knew everything here except that piece, what would you do? Just multiply. I'd take the 12 times the 81, wouldn't you?
So when you
And I'd get the million. If you want to know the present value, that's a different thing, right? This would be a future value. Are you with me? You stay with me?
Yeah, no, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so you could calculate either the annuity payment or the future value. You could also calculate the present value. How about this? I'm going to retire right now, and I want to know how much I have to invest to get 12,353 at the end of each year. Let's make that be the problem. Different problem now, right? That would be a present value calculation. How much do I need to invest now to pull out a certain amount later? Let's change it a little bit more. Let's say that it was this. Let's say I'm going to have 20 years. That's how long I'm going to live, right? I want to even live longer than that. I'm 63. Well, I'm not sure. My dad's 90 and his brain's going, maybe I don't want to live. Yeah. I was talking to him on the phone the other day and he said, you're just screwed. You got longevity in your genes. You're going to live until your mind's gone, just like me. At least he's funny about it. He laughs about it. So. He's got a really great saying, though. He says he's ready to go anytime. Tomorrow, not today. He says, every day I wake up and I think, well, tomorrow, not today. Yeah, so he's still enjoying his life. He enjoys each moment. He just doesn't remember it at all. I think it's kind of a luxury. You can do anything you want. You can't remember. You know, and people can say, well, you know what you did? No. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's do 13%. And I want to know how much I need to invest right now in order to pull. How much do you want to have a year, you guys? How about 100,000 every year? You like it? I have to know how much I need to invest right now, okay, to have 100,000 every year. This is my ordinary annuity payment, because I think I'm only going to live 20 more years. That's all our table will do for us. Can't live longer than that. Okay, so I got 20 more years to live. I'm going to earn 13% because I'm leaving it in the stock market. I want to know how much I have to put in the market right now to pull out $100,000 per year for the 20 years. What would you do there? Now you're calculating your present value. You're going to be on a present value annuity table. Make sense? It's what you're trying to calculate is which table you use. Okay.
So even like for example, we were looking in the last one we were looking for the payment, but since we still had a future
But we had a
value,
future value, so
you use
yes,
the
so
future
set it up
value.
that way and you use the future value.
and
factor.
then because it's a future value with a payment, you use the future value of annuity.
Yeah, you got it. Well, this is a present value, so I'm going to use the present value.
Well, I mean, yeah.
On the other one, yes. On the other one, yes. And if I were going for a payment here and I knew the present value, I'd still use the present value table, right? Yeah, you got it. How would you set this up, you guys? Ordinary annuity payment. How much is that? 100,000. So we want to pull $2 million out of here. Everybody agree with that? You didn't take $2 million out, 100,000 a year for 20 years. You didn't take $2 million out. Okay? Everybody got it? So how much do I have to invest now so I can take out $2 million over the next 20 years? And I'm going to take the money out at the end of each year because that's the factor we have. By the way, is this how you probably take the money out? Maybe if you're going to make money the following year, you might want an ordinary annuity when it's at the end. But probably it'd be an annuity due, huh? Because you need the money at the beginning of the period. Does that make sense? So, but don't worry about that for now. So 100,000 is my ordinary annuity payment, and I know my what, or I want to know my present value at time 0. So I'm looking for this. That's how you'd set it up. And then what is this factor going to be? Seeing as I got a present value over here. Present value of a ordinary annuity, right guys? Are we getting there? Do this a few times, think about it, walk through it. I keep saying this stuff over and over, I don't just work them, do I? I mean, I could work them really fast, and we get nothing, right? Think about it while you're doing it, and then practice until you're fast, okay? So just boom, boom, boom. You're going to read these problems, you can find the piece of information you want to solve for the one you don't have. That's how you do it. In real life, too. Figure out what you want the interest rate to be and what the number of periods is and what the annuity payment is or the future value of the present value. All those are real hard in real life. Calculating is a snap. Okay? All right. So what is that factor? Let's see. Interest rate 13. Whoops. Yeah. Number of periods 20. What's the factor for 13%, 20 periods present value? 7.0248. Is that more or less than the 20? It's less because you're taking interest out. How much interest is there going to be? It's a $20 cash flow stream, right? Dollar at the end of each period for 20 periods. How much do you have to invest now to get $20 in the future? Only $7. How much interest are you going to earn? 13. Yeah, it's 13% interest, a lot of interest. Okay, so how much would I have to invest right now to get this? What's 100,000 times 7.0248? Of course, you'd have to have that kind of money. But how much can you take out? 2 million. Right, guys? 100,000 times 20. How much interest would you earn? 1.3 million. Right, guys? Are we good? Calculate anything you want to calculate. This is probably a good way to spend an hour in your life.
So the 2 million, that's the future value.
The future value, if we wanted to calculate the future value, it would be, I'm investing 100,000 in each period, and what would it grow to, right? The 2 million is how much I'm going to get paid over the 20 periods. There actually are 20 future values. I'm going to get 100 one period from now, 100 2 periods from now, 100 3 periods from now. If you wanted, you could take the present value of each of those cash flows, do 20 calculations. Discount the first one for 1 year, the second one for 2 years, the third one for 3, up to the last one for 20, and then add them all together, and you will get 740. What they didn't stick with, they added up to 20 factors for you. And 20 factors add up to $7.02. The first payment at 13%, what's the first payment worth? What's the present value of the sum for 1 period at 13%? What do you have on that? Present value of the sum. 1 period at 13%. How much would you have to invest? 85 cents. Right? That's what. 86 cents. That's what it's worth, right? Okay, because it's $1 divided by 1.13. What's the second one? No. Well, that's 2 of them added together. I mean, on the present value of sum table. That's the first 2 added together. And the present value of sum table with it. The first one's 85 cents, the second one is 70.
Yeah.
70, and then you go back to the one before that. Got any idea? You just keep going back and back and back. What's the 20th one worth? Present value of at 13%, 20 periods. Get off the annuity table and the present value of sum table where you want to be. 13%. You're on the right page.
Oh,
Look
yeah,
at the
this is,
13%.
well, this one just says present value of the dollar.
Oh, no, you're right, because they're 13%, and go down to 20 periods. 9 cents. If I invest 9 cents for 20 periods of 13%, it becomes $1. I mean, it's hard to get your head around that, isn't it? So what they did was they added that 9 cents to the one for 19 periods, to the one for 18, all the way back to that one was 83 cents or whatever it was, for one period. Got the idea, guys? Okay, for 85 cents. Okay, got the idea? Okay, added them all together, and they got 7.02. Good. I'll go away. Work. Learn.
So the $2 million is what you're gonna have at the very end.
$2 million is what I'm going to receive over the whole time. It's 100. It won't be worth $2 million at the end, because they're giving me 100 1 year from now, 100 2 years from now, 100 3 years.
So, okay.
If I invested that, it'll be worth a lot more if they keep growing with it. But if I invested $702,000 right now, I could take out $100,000 to be here for 20 years, and there will be exactly nothing left in the account, and I will have earned 13% interest. That make sense?
And the launch is the 1.3.
Yeah, and the total amount is 1.3 because I took out $2 million and I only put in 700,000. Is that doing it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, good. Okay. A lot of it is just seeing what's happening. Yeah. Calculations there. Yeah. Thanks for coming, guys. Confidence. You're gonna nail this stuff.